So let me start over. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Nita. It's Anita for real, but most people call me Nita. I've been investing in real estate for about 4 years. I got started with the strategy that I'm actually going to speak about here, which is wholesaling, mainly because I didn't have any cash or any credit. And this was the only way that I knew of at that point in time to get into the game. So about a hundred, at least 100 deals later, here I am. I've been able to take this strategy and branch off into other strategies, like we've heard the other presenters talk about, as far as buying and holding. I'm a landlord. I own 9 properties, 11 units in Cleveland. I've done flips. So wholesaling was my start, and then I just built upon that going forward. So for those of you who have not heard of wholesaling or might not know exactly what it is, the whole crux of it is the fact, again, that you can acquire and control real estate without putting up your own cash or credit. Now, I'm not like the Charm City buyers at 23 and 24. I was not disciplined enough to be putting aside no money for no houses. I don't know if I can get a witness out there, but that was not me. Okay. So even at when I started at 26, I still, again, was not in a place financially to be going talking about putting my own money up or my own credit to buy a property. So this whole selling strategy, if you are in that same boat, if you're like me, this is your entry. I know a lot of people, we X ourselves out from the real estate game because we know that our finances are together and we know that our credit is not intact or where it should be. So we just automatically X real estate out as not even being an option. And so that is my number one mission, is to let people know that, listen, even if you don't have the money or the crazy cash like that, you can still get into the game and you can still begin to, maneuver and move around in as far as the real estate industry is concerned. Okay. So that's what it is overall. The process of it is very simple. We see it in every industry in our world. This same process of buying low, selling high, it's everywhere. People do it with cars, with hair, with clothes, everything. Okay. So a lot of times when it's with houses, because we think, oh wow, houses cost so much, we feel it's like it gets to be a lot for us. We can't process and break down me how I would be able to acquire this real estate without having several $1,000s or a credit score to back it up. Okay. So the process is real simple. If you can see on your screen, the process is basically 3 steps. You find the homeowner, which would be your motivated seller. You in the middle as the wholesaler, you contract that property, and then you sell your contract to an end buyer or an end investor, who then they are the ones, that's the party that actually brings the money to the table. Okay. So it goes, you contract the property from the seller, you sell that to the end buyer. There's never any money from you that is exchanged. Okay. The end buyer always brings the cash to the table. So that is how you are able to acquire and buy real estate with none of your own cash or none of your own credit. Okay. So I liken it to the pawn shop. If you follow me, I've given this analogy all the time, because this is how, again, sometimes it just seems too good to be true. Like we can't quite process how this is possible. So if you think about it in terms of a pawn shop, excuse me, then it kind of is easy to kind of break it down and understand it in terms of real estate. So I use the example of an engagement ring. Say you're engaged, you're in love in the club, and everything is peaches and cream. Okay, you got you a nice big rock on your finger, and if he like it, he put a ring on it and all that kind of stuff. Up until it hits the fan, and then you not engaged no more, and then you got this big ring that you don't want, that reminds you of that such and such, then all this kind of stuff. So you like, I don't want this ring anymore. Then he left you with bills and stuff like that, so you need a few extra dollars. So you like, not only do I not want the ring, but I need some money for the ring. So you say, well, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to the pawn shop. Okay, so you take your little ring to the pawn shop. You get to the pawn shop, they tell you, okay, yeah, you're right. This is a nice ring. That ring is worth $1,000. I'll give you 500 cash for it right now. You think like, okay, well, I know he said that the ring is worth 1,000, but he's willing to give me cash, right now for it. I don't want the ring and I need the money. So absolutely sold. I'll take it. So then you sell the ring to the pawn shop for $500. So now You got the cash, you're happy. You didn't want the ring, you wanted money, so you got what you want, so you're good to go. Now the pawn shop owner has this ring that is worth $1,000, but he only paid 500 for it. Okay, so he puts that ring in his little showcase, and walks somebody else who is in love in the club, and they looking for a ring to get they boo. So they come into the pawn. They frugal. Don't trip. They frugal. They come to the pawn. They just want to see what the pawn shop had to offer. So they come in. They see this ring, and they like, yo, that's $1,000 ring, and he only selling it for 800. Yes, she'll love it. I'm sold. So that person buys that same ring for $800. They got an $1,000 ring, so they got $200 equity in their pawn shop ring. They got their $1,000 ring for $800. They're happy. Now the pawn shop owner has made $300 for not really doing anything. Okay, so if you kind of use that analogy to kind of process this wholesaling process and strategy, it'll make a little bit more sense for you. Now I pray that's nobody's case, but if it is, hey. It be like that. Okay, so that's the process in a nutshell. All right, so the thing that generally trips people up is how do I find a motivated seller? How do I find an end buyer? Well, I'm glad you asked. Marketing, okay? Marketing, if you are business savvy at all, you always hear marketing is the lifeblood of any business, okay? If you're not marketing, you won't have any leads. If you don't have any leads, you don't have any deals. And if you don't have any deals, ladies and gentlemen, you will not make any money. I'm sorry to tell you, okay? And we don't want to be in that boat. So you always want to be marketing. You always want to be marketing, okay? You always want to be, basically, marketing is like fishing. You always want to keep your line out in the water, okay? You never know who or what type of fish might bite. So a couple of the strategies that I use that have been incredibly successful for me, I've listed them here. The Charm City buyers that actually mentioned this, touched on this briefly yesterday. Direct mail marketing. If you see this yellow, the picture of the yellow postcards, those are postcards that I send to absentee owners. Okay, direct mail marketing is so powerful, and I'm gonna tell you why it's powerful, because you can send to exactly your target market. Okay, the mail piece of it is only as powerful as your target market is. Okay, so I mail to absentee owners, so people who own property in Cleveland but do not live there. They are likely, possibly, someone who is looking to sell, somebody who, for whatever reason, they're at a point where they would prefer cash over that property, and that's where I come in. Okay, so with direct mail marketing, you want to make sure that you're being extremely targeted when you're sending out your mail. You heard them mention they only sent out, I believe they said, 40 pieces of mail, and got a couple of crazy deals off of those 40 pieces of mail. You can do it like that if you are mailing correctly. I know people who send out thousands of pieces of mail and only do, a couple of deals. So with direct mail, the key is, again, to being targeted. The second one, bandit signs. If you see there, I used to make my own bandit signs because, like I said, when I started, I didn't have any cash and no credit. So I didn't have money to go out and buy bandit signs. But you can purchase them, and you can have them all, printed up nice on corrugated plastic with stakes and the whole nine. I didn't have that luxury. So what I used to do, as you can see in that picture, I used to go to companies and get their old boxes, grocery stores and, dollar stores and stuff like that. Take their old boxes, bust the boxes down. I used to get 4 or 5 signs out of one box. I would go buy me the biggest, fattest Sharpie I could, and I would get to it. I would sit down every night and I would write them out. Every Friday morning, 5:00 a.m., I'm riding around the city of Cleveland, getting out, posting my signs around the city. Okay, you can ask. I put so many out there that the city, they was like, listen, chill out on all that. Okay, so that's bandit signs. The thing about bandit signs is it's not good enough to put out 20 today and then don't put out any for the rest of the month. You have to be consistent. You have to take massive consistent action. Okay, so if you're gonna put out your 20, then you got to commit to putting out 20 every week. All right. Not just 20 this week and then they don't see you again until next month. All right. So the next one is driving for dollars. This is something that we all do. You are always in your car. You always hit the corners. There are always houses that you pass that are either potentially vacant, that or have a FISBO sign on it. So there are always options when you are out driving. Sometimes I'll just go when I feel like being alone. I'll just go ride a couple of blocks, and any property that has high grass, that's a good indication that it could potentially be vacant. I'll jot down the address. If you follow me on Instagram, I was doing this just earlier. I went to go get my coffee. I saw a house that had a board up on the glass. Ding! It automatically went off on me. And I went back and I got that address. I'm gonna reach out to the owner of that property. So driving for dollars is another free marketing tool. You can go out and you can find addresses. Also, yeah, thanks Carl for explaining. For sale by owner properties, people who are owners who are looking to sell their houses without an agent. Okay. And then referrals, my favorite. I love referrals. Before you all came in, I forget the gentleman who said that he was a bird dog. But bird dog, that's really what referrals are. There are some people who Carl, okay, cool, Carl. So there are some people who they just all they do is they go out and scour and find these deals. Okay. Again, you heard Charm City buyers yesterday mention that they don't have a problem paying for a deal. As long as the numbers work, most end buyers will not have a problem. Our people bring me deals. Some of them I buy myself. Some of them I wholesale. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can do that too. Bird dogging is very lucrative, very lucrative. You know what I mean? I pass properties off all the time. Give me 500, give me 1,000. You know, all of that stuff adds up. Okay, so those are four. I'm not going to say easy, but those are probably your four top methods of generating leads when you're looking to wholesale a property. Okay. So now you know how to find the motivated seller or the person that you're looking for in terms of marketing to them. The next thing is, and this is where I feel like a lot of people go wrong, because this whole everything, every presenter that you've heard throughout the summit has spoke about the numbers, and that fact cannot be stressed enough. This is all about the numbers. You could throw the houses out the window. You don't even have to see a property. You can look at the numbers and see if it's going to work. Okay, so a lot of times people contract properties too high. Okay, if you contract the property too high, you're basically cutting yourself out the deal. You're not, there's no way. You know what I mean? You have to provide a good value for the end buyer. You have to be passing off a property that still has equity in it, and you have to be getting the seller what they need. Okay, so that's why the numbers of this is so important. Again, they discussed the MAO formula yesterday, the max allowable offer. I'm gonna just really quickly go through this. There are a couple of factors that you're looking for when you found your motivated seller. They tell you the address of their property. Throughout the time that you're analyzing the property, you want to know, again, they mentioned it yesterday, the comps, the comparable sales for a house that is comparable or similar to the one to your subject property, the same bedroom, same bath, same square footage. What are they selling for? Okay. So comps, you want to know that. You also want to know the ARV or the after repair value. That's basically market or retail. So when this house is all put back together, when it's all pretty and all that stuff, how much can it sell for? You need to know that as well. Repair costs. So when you go to look at a property, you're trying to determine how much will it take to get it either rent ready or again, retail ready. How much money do I need? Delinquent taxes. This is another thing that people a lot of times forget, and it throws off their numbers. Delinquent taxes, that kind of stuff has to be accounted for. If there's any liens on the properties, I had to deal for through the other day because there was a lien on the property. So don't forget that step. That is very, very crucial. And then the most important, the assignment fee. That's how you get paid. Okay. So don't leave your payment out. You need all of those factors to determine. All right. So this next one is going to be, we're going to do an example so that we make sure that you understand this formula. Because if you want to use this strategy, this is like your holy grail. Okay. You have to know how to do this. You have to know how to get to what your maximum allowable offer is. All right. So I've listed some comps here. You want to get anywhere from 3 to 5 comps to generate your ARV. So we got 3 there. We determined that there was one property that sold for 50, one that sold for 67, and then one that sold for 49. Okay, so those are all similar houses in the same vicinity of our subject property.
Okay.
Question?
Okay. Yeah, two things. How can they find comp? And then the second thing is when they're calculating repair costs and things like that, they're not doing the repairs. They're just trying to see for the person that buys it, right? How much would they have to pay
Correct.
for repairs?
Correct. So this is not, you're not going through to do a scope to see what you're going to do. You're not going to do it. You just need to have an idea of how much it will cost, again, to either get the property back rent ready or to list or whatever, whatever their extra strategy is going to be. And then how you find comps. The most reliable and trusted way to get comps is off the MLS. I think it was mentioned again, if you network and you build relationships with agents, they will oftentimes run the CMA for you, send you comps, and you can get it that way. If you don't have that relationship with agents, you can use Zillow, Trulia, you can use the county auditor site, Redfin, Realtor.com. There are lots of different sites that you can use to find the comps. Oh my goodness, did you go through it and do an assessment on the repair value, or is this done by a contractor? You can do both. When I was starting out, I used to go to the houses. Okay. When I was getting started, I went out to the houses just because I felt like I needed the experience and I needed the knowledge. If you coming in off the street and you don't know what it takes to do a new roof or what it takes to, replace plumbing or electrical and all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to go and to kind of see. Sometimes I had contractors go with me. Sometimes I would go by myself, take lots of pictures, take notes. I have a checklist that I use when I used to go to properties. I would go room by room, basically top to bottom, in terms of the condition of the property. Did you bring in contractors every time? No. Not every time to not contractors every time to evaluate the property. No, I didn't. Okay. So getting back to the example, got all the comps. They total 166. So we divide that by 3, the number of comps that we have. So we get our ARV. Our ARV is 55K. So that basically tells us that when this house is all put back together and it's all said and done, it has a market value of about $55,000. Okay. So now that we have that, we can plug that into our formula. So you go 55,000 and Charm City talked about 70%. I generally like to use 60-65% for my market. Like they said, it may vary. So you go 55K times 65%. I listed over here that the repair cost for this property was 10K. So you less 10K. I also listed that there were delinquent taxes, back taxes of 2K. So you also want to list that. And then your assignment fee. Generally, I like to average about 5K on every deal. So I'll put in 5K. Now that number is negotiable. It can be played with. If you got a deal that's going to close that would bring you 3, don't lose the deal because you're talking about you need to make 5. Okay, 3 is 3 more than what you had before. Okay, so that number can be played with. So once you do that calculation, you get your MAO, your maximum allowable offer of $18,750. Okay, so that's the most that you can offer for that property. So if that's the most that you can offer, that's not where you want to make your initial offer. You want to make your initial offer a little bit lower to obviously give you some cushion and some room for negotiation. Okay. So now we know that we have to find a motivated seller. We know how to find a motivated seller in terms of marketing strategies and things like that. We know now how to form an offer for that motivated seller. So now let me switch this. I want to show the contract. Okay. All right. So I don't know how well you can see that, but this is a copy of the contract that I use. Okay. It's a simple one pager. I mean, a kid could read and understand this contract. You can use your state contract. I just prefer to use this one because it's easy. And most of these people that I'm dealing with, they're not real estate professionals, and all that 4-page contract generally goes over their head. So I like to use this one. It's easy, straight to the point. I can't see which line. Oh, it's F. If you can see, the most important pieces on this contract is letter F that says it's assignable, and whatever, I can't see, whatever letter it is that gives you your inspection or your contingency. Okay. This is another crucial piece to this process. The way that you are able to do this without having any risk. You can't see it drawing. I don't know how to make it bigger. I'm sorry, y'all. But it's just a contract. It's just a regular standard purchase agreement again, the most important pieces on it is the fact that it's assignable, which allows you to assign it or sell it to an end buyer, aka you get paid, and then also your inspection contingency. So that means that this contract is contingent upon an inspection period. So that basically gives you an out. Okay. So those are the two most important pieces of your contract. You need to have your contingency clause, and it needs to be assignable, or else you are up a creek with no paddle. Okay. So that's that. Let me go back. Oops. No. No. File. PDF. Okay. So we're back here. So that is what you would send over, or if you're in person, you would make your offer to the seller. Once you get your accepted offer, you send them over that contract, have them sign it. Boom. At that point, you have what's called equitable interest. Equitable interest. That is what allows you to then market and sell that contract. This is a huge misconception about wholesaling. You are not selling the house. You want to know why? Because you can't sell something you don't own. Go figure, okay? Like, I know it's a crazy thought, but you can't sell anything that you don't own. You can, however, sell something that you have equitable interest in. What you have equitable interest in is that contract. So you are essentially selling a piece of paper, okay? You can make thousands, millions of dollars selling paper, all right? So when you go to market to your end buyer, you're going to use some of those same strategies that you use to find a seller. You can use direct mail. You can use bandit signs again. You can, instead of saying cash for your house, you might say, house for sale, fast sale, 20K, whatever case may be. You can market for buyers as well. Another thing that we a lot of times miss is there are buyers amongst us, and you don't even know it because you're not talking about that. If you come, well, not me, because I talk about real estate all the time, but if you go around somebody, they might have, especially the older people in your circle, they might have 20, 30, $40,000 sitting somewhere in an account or something like that. And maybe they didn't think about or plan on being an investor, but like Packy was saying, that they're not making any money off of that money, so it's better for them to invest it. You know what I'm saying? I had somebody the other day send me something asking me for a buyer, and I'm like, damn, like I am a buyer. Like, why wouldn't you show me the deal? Like, don't count people's money. You don't know who got what and what they have access to. There are buyers all around us. Once you start talking about, yeah, I'm a new real estate investor and I'm looking at, this and the third, you'll hear all type of people come out the woodworks and start to tell you about how they own property. There are landlords among you that you don't even know. You know what I'm saying? So that's one that we miss is our circle, our sphere of influence. Okay. So you have your contract. That is what, again, you're marketing and you're going to sell that. So once you find your end buyer, you are going to assign your rights to that end buyer. I'm not even going to bother to show the assignment contract because you can't see it. But there's another contract that you sign once you find that end buyer. You sign the assignment contract, basically taking yourself out of the purchase position in the original contract and allowing that person to step in and assume the right that you had to purchase that house. Okay. So if you had a property contracted at $10,000 and then you agreed to sell that contract to an end buyer for $15,000, the seller gets their $10,000, but then you get the $5,000 difference. Okay, that is what you sold your contract for. So that is how you made money. So just imagine, go with me here. Imagine if you were to do on the low end 2 deals a month. That's 1 deal every 2 weeks. If you were to do 2 deals a month and you averaged $5,000, how much extra money would you make a month? How much? Somebody tell me. Do the math on that complex calculation. There you go. 10. Now, answer me this. Is there anybody in this room that could use an extra 10,000 or an extra, thank you, Carl, 120 for the year from doing 2 deals a month? 2 deals a month. Okay. Imagine if you were to scale up and to do 5. If you did 5 deals a month, at just 5,000. You'll have some deals that you make 10 or 15, but if you did 5 deals a month at $5,000, that's 25 bands extra a month.
Wait, let me jump in real quick because let me mute. I think it's an echo. So yesterday, Pocky was telling us there's money, time, and knowledge, right, for real estate deals. But if you think about how Nita said she started, she did not have the money, but she had the time. And you see how that time made her money. So it's just like all coming together. And what she taught herself, so she had the knowledge, she had the time, she didn't have the money. Someone else has the money, like Pocky, like me, and we can buy those deals. And even though we know that Nita did all this work, and we know she's charging us a little bit extra to cover her fees, but we didn't have the time to look. So we don't care about paying a premium. So that money, time, and knowledge thing is like so key. So I just had to jump in there and say that because it's like all coming full circle.
Then another thing, I see a lot of people who use this strategy, they start to turn themselves as a wholesaler. I hate to see that because you're not a wholesaler. You're a real estate investor. You use whatever exit strategy that deal dictates. Okay. So if you're going to be an investor, you can use wholesaling, you can use fixing and flipping, you can use buying and holding, you can use tax deeds. I started with wholesaling because again, this is how you can get into the game if you don't have any money. But I use those wholesale deals, those two 5K deals to then start out and go buy property. So then instead of being the middleman, I become the man. I am the end buyer now. I can start to go out and do flips because now I've mastered the art of finding a deal. Okay. And that's really what's most important. Learning how to market and how to generate consistent good leads. Once you do that, the sky is the limit. You can cherry pick what you want and then you can wholesale the rest. Okay. So that is wholesaling in a nutshell. I can get a lot more into detail with it, but I won't for right now. So that is wholesaling in a nutshell. I see a lot of questions coming up here, so I'm gonna just put this up here. This is my contact information, how you can get in contact with me. My email address is on there. Please follow me on the gram, on Twitter. You can link with me on Facebook. If you have questions, you can email them to me. I'm generally good about checking my email. And then Kendra, is it okay if we get into the questions? Okay, let me see. How much marketing did you need to get your first deal? Good question, Lauren. So if you recall, I said I didn't have no money. So I didn't have a marketing budget. It was a shoestring budget, my sister. Okay. So that's why I was doing the bandit signs. I was making my own bandit signs. I think I probably printed off some flyers at whatever job I was working. I probably used their printer and printed off some flyers and passed some of that stuff out. But I really started out really with bandit signs. How long did it take? That's a good question. From the time that I started putting out bandit, now let me also say this. I played with it too. I played with it. My mind wasn't right. So I didn't fully get the power of this and how much it could unlock for me. So I played with it. I wasn't serious. I would jump in, jump out. But from the time, excuse me, that I got serious with it and started taking consistent, massive action, I would say I did my first deal in about 8 months. I did it in about 8 months and I think I talked about this too. I made like $800. I should have made more, but I messed up on so much stuff. By the time everybody had fixed all my mess ups, I walked away with 800. But that $800 was the most valuable money I've ever earned in my life because once I made that 800, then it clicked for me. It was like, oh shit, I can do this. I can really do this and I can scale it up and I can really do some things with this. So that first deal was incredibly valuable for me. Did you use a script for the end buyers? Another thing about me, I'm completely self-taught, right? So this kind of stuff, like how you guys are investing in yourselves and getting education and stuff like that, I didn't do. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't have the money. I didn't have a lot of the resources. So a lot of the scripts and the things that the gurus and stuff now teach, I didn't have access to. So I was figuring it out all on my own. So my script was straight off the dome. Yeah. I was straight off the dome with everything. So no, I didn't. So I went through a lot of trial and error in terms of figuring out, what's the best way to speak to end buyers and how to present deals to them and stuff like that. So I learned all of that kind of stuff the hard way. Did you have a mentor? I didn't have like a side by side mentor. I actually found out about wholesaling from Mark Witten. He's a gentleman out of Baltimore, Maryland. Has a great real estate wholesaling program going on now. So he was kind of like my mentor from afar, and he don't even really know it. But no, I didn't have like somebody walking next to me, holding my hand. Wouldn't the seller need to get the assignment contract notarized? No, no, the seller doesn't. You don't need a contract to be notarized for it to be real deal. Do you hold any? Yes, I do. Andre, yes, I do. So, like I said, after I started doing wholesale deals consistently, I started taking that money that I was making off the spread, and then I started purchasing my own properties and purchasing my own flips and things like that. So, yes, I use wholesaling to again catapult me into some of the other strategies. Could you again explain how did you determine the repair cost? Okay, so Bernadette, if you don't know, if you're not hit to home repair and stuff like that, that's cool. What you can do is take a general rule of thumb. If it's like totally messed up, like a total rehab, like no plumbing, no electrical, the roof is caving in and stuff like that, you could go at least 20 to 25, maybe more, depending on your market, dollars per square foot. Okay. So if you're going to see a 2,000 square foot duplex that is a full rehab, you can multiply 2,000 times $20, and that'll give you again a ballpark figure in terms of what you're working with. If it's more of a moderate repair, a moderate rehab, and not as intensive, you can go somewhere like 15 to 20 or 12 to 15, somewhere in that range. For just light, you can go like 10 to 15, and those numbers depend on your market, but you can still use those again to get a general ballpark figure, because mind you, the end buyer, whoever's buying the house, they're going to come and look at the house, and they will have an opportunity to inspect and to verify what you're saying. They're not going to just take your word for it too. So a lot of people get hung up on that too because they don't know how to do it. Don't just give a general rule of thumb, allow them to do their due diligence, check it out, and then go from there. Did I miss any questions? I don't think I script.
I think if you already answered the lawyer question.
What was it?
Do you have a lawyer? Do you have a lawyer review your contracts?
After I did several deals, at the beginning, no, I did not have a lawyer. I don't know if I would advise that. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't give you any legal advice. If you have access to one, or if you have the resources to pay to have one to review your contract, by all means. But again, people make contracts like too complicated. Like if I write out I owe you $10 and you sign it, I sign it. You know what I'm saying? It has to have certain factors, but that's a contract. So as long as you have, in terms of wholesaling, the fact that this contract is assignable and you have that contingency or your exit clause as far as the inspection period, you're generally good to go. A basic real estate purchasing agreement will cover whatever you need. How much marketing?
And also, do you mind walking us like start to finish again, like really like layman terms, from the time you identify a house to the time it closes?
Say that again. From the time what?
From the time you identify a property to the time that you get your money. Like, can you walk us through that really quickly?
So from the time that you, so I'll use the example of the property that I saw today. I was literally just driving. I saw this house. So I have the address of the house. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hunt down the owner. I'm going to look on the auditor, on the county auditor's website. I'm going to see if I can get their phone number. If not, that the auditor's website will have their tax mailing address. So I'll be able to send them a letter. Once I get a response from them, they'll call me, we'll speak. I'll let them know I want to buy your house cash, boom, 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 whatever the case may be. I'll go through my formula in terms of coming up with the offer. Hopefully they'll accept the offer. They'll sign the contract. Boom, the contract is signed. I have it in my possession. Some people, they turn it into the title company right then and there. I hold it because I generally sell my properties quickly. So I have that purchase agreement with the homeowner of that property. Then I generally send out an email blast to what I call my list of buyers, people that have purchased properties from me before, people who ask me, about properties and stuff like that I have for sale. I generally send out an email blast, and I include pictures of the property, all the pertinent information, address, bedroom, bath, condition, all that kind of stuff. And then people respond back from that. Oh, yes, I'm interested. Sometimes they want to go out and see it. Sometimes they buy sight unseen. It just depends. So once you have an agreement with your end buyer, that's the assignment contract that you're going to sign with them. So I will fill out an assignment contract. I am the assignor. And then the person who's buying it is the assignee. They're basically buying that contract for me for X amount of dollars with non-refundable deposit. Boom, that's a done deal. Once I have those two pieces of paper, the original purchase agreement from the seller and then the assignment contract from the buyer, I submit both of those to the title company, and then from there, the title company takes care of it for me. They facilitate the closing. So they will take care of all of the paperwork. They will make sure that the seller receives their check for their money. They will make sure that the buyer receives the clear title and the deed and all that kind of stuff for their property. And then they will also make sure that I am either cut a check or sent a wire for my assignment fee, because my name actually shows up on the HUD. Okay, so that's the whole process from start to finish.
Are you obligated to purchase a property if you can't find a buyer?
No, that's why your contingency is so important, because remember, the deal is contingent upon your inspection time. So no, that's how you that's your exit. Precious, I actually have a course coming out where I'm going to give out all of the contracts, all of the scripts, all of everything that you'll need, all of the paperwork that you'll need to do your wholesale deal. What kind of checklist did you use to evaluate repairs and what to look for? Again, Joey, I got that coming. But it's just basically inventory of each room. So there's the windows, there's the roof, there's the plumbing, electrical, flooring. There's all of that we consider interior and then also exterior. Unless I'm confused, how does seller bank get the money to pay off the loan? Okay, so we're talking about on this. I'm talking about people who own their properties outright. Now, you can still wholesale a property if they owe money on it. The numbers just have to work. Okay, so there has to be enough money to pay off the mortgage, and then sometimes the seller still wants some, and then it still has to have enough equity for the end buyer. So the numbers just have to work. You can also use some other creative financing strategies subject to and stuff like that. Do you use an escrow company, title company? Yes. At the end, the title company closes it for me. Do you feel this method is useful in every market? Texas, yes. I know people who are killing it wholesaling, especially unfortunately due to the all of the weather issues and stuff like that. I know people who are killing it because again, this is based on unfortunately situations and circumstances. And if you've been living life long enough, you know that sometimes circumstances come around that is like, yo, at this point in the game right now, I really need cash. I know this house and I know it's good to own all that kind of stuff, but I need cash. And that's okay. Some, again, circumstances and situations in life will bring you to that point. Okay. So if that's the case, if you need cash, then as an investor, I'm here to help you with that. With whatever your pain point, I'm here to solve your problem. If you don't need this property right now and you need cash, what am I going to tell you? I'm not going to buy a house. Like, I'm going to keep my, like, no, I'm going to get you cash for your house. So yes, I do feel it's useful in every market. Some markets are different. You got to they're different beasts. Like the New York market is crazy out there. You can wholesale out there, but it's a bit different beast. But it absolutely can work in any and every market. Google it. There are people wholesaling all over the country making bank. Okay. Absolutely could work in Texas. What resource do you suggest to find target markets for direct mail when starting out? Also, with your bandit signs, do you just put them wherever? Or did you target them? Okay, so first question: what resource do you suggest to find target markets? I suggest again, relate in this building in this business. Relationships are key. It's so important. You need to be in relationship with an agent. Okay, feed them deals, send them an Amazon gift card, buy them cookies, do something to form a good working relationship with an agent because they have access to all of this data when you talk about resources to find target markets and stuff like that, that would be the easiest way to compile that information is from some of those reports and different databases that agents have access to. Another one is let me show you. I'm gonna share. I'm gonna do the screen share and share my screen. Oh, it won't let me. No, for some reason. Oh well, but I was just gonna show you a list that I bought from listsource.com. Listsource.com is a platform. It's basically a data mining company. They compiled all this data and then you can buy lists. You can also use that to kind of see, you can determine where the cash sales are coming, what the average price is, how often people are buying. You can use that to kind of manipulate the data and figure out what's going on as well. Also with your bandit signs, you just put them wherever. At first, I just started putting them wherever, Joey, because I didn't know any better. But when you know better, my brother, you do better. Damn it! And when I figured out, I did start to target specific areas, and not only that, I started to record. When somebody would call me, I would say, "Oh, okay. Well, how did you hear about me, or where did you see my sign at?" So I started to record where I was getting the most calls from, and then my common sense kicked in. I was like, "Well, I'm not having gotten any calls from this corner in 2 months, but this corner over here is booming. So let me go through the side streets in this area and make sure I'm visible in this area." So a lot of it is split testing. You got to do trial and error. You just got to kind of see what's working where. What if you cannot get someone to buy the property? Nope. Contingency again. If you can't, the deal is contingent upon that inspection. You send them basically, it's a form, a letter, basically saying that you can't perform. Can we see this time? Leah, I wanted to show it, but it's so small. Let me see. This says something.
Oh shoot, we lost her. Oh, she's coming back now. Good questions, y'all. We're almost running out of time. We may be able to take some more questions at the end of the next presentation. I just want to be mindful of everyone's time. But while Nita is coming back, this is why I say there's room for everyone to get in. Like there's so many seats at the table, because if you think about, okay, she's sharing her screen now. Okay, cool. Hold that thought. I'll hold that thought. Hold on a second. Let me. But I don't know if Nita, are you talking? Because we can't hear you. Yeah, if you're saying something, we can't hear you, but we can see it. Okay, we'll wait for her to get back on the screen. But like she said, she does have a course coming out that's really in depth, where you'll be able to get access to those documents. Okay. Nita, if you do you have that camera icon at the top of your screen? Did y'all have any other last questions? We can take like maybe one more question if your question wasn't answered, because they were coming in so fast. All right, so I might call Nita really quick so she can end her presentation and we can get to the next one, just like we did on day one with the speakerphone. Hold on one second, y'all.
Contract again, very simple, straightforward. One page.
Yep.
Okay, so those were the two contracts. The first one was the assignment. The second one was just the purchase agreement. Very simple, straight to the point, one pager. Again, you just need your contingency and the fact that the contract is assignable. Again, the process itself is not complicated. It's not hard. You do have to work it, but it can be done. If you take this information and you go out and you seek a little bit more information within the next 90 days, you could be doing your own deal. You could have made, a couple of $1,000s from wholesaling a deal or from either being a bird dog in terms of referring properties to other investors. Okay? So, can you see the screen with the information on it?
Yeah.
Can I see that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to email me, Nita at clevelandtickethomes.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at HouseHunter216. You can also connect with me on Facebook. Also, if you want more information about the course is going to be a lot more intensive. I got videos on everything I'm supposed to already have it out right now, but I keep adding stuff too. So the course is going to go through everything. I'm going to hold your hand throughout the entire process. If you want more information about that, go to 216househunter.com and I can get you more information about that. I appreciate everybody for joining. I hope you learned something. Please go out and take massive, consistent effort. If you mess up, that means you're only one step closer to your breakthrough. So I hope y'all kill it.
Thank you, Nita. Okay. Hopefully we'll be able to figure out the connection. And if you can stay on, then we can all get on at the end, maybe.
Okay.
All right. All right. So we're going to transition over to the last presentation. We're going to hear from Torrance. And before he comes up, I'm going to put up this poll that y'all can answer. But what I was saying before was, if you think about like me and Sabrina, we're both buy and hold investors. We primarily buy and hold properties. We want rental income. And also personally, I don't really want a rental property I have to do a lot of work on. I want something that's like fairly move-in ready. And this is why I say there's room for all of us at this table, because Nita could get a property wholesale that Charm City Buyers buys from her and flips, that they'll renovate and make look nice, and then I could come along and I'm buying it for a rental. So you see how there's like room for everybody. If you just think about the people that you just heard from just in this short amount of time, like there's room for all of us to get